Welcome to the United States Government Publishing Office's training session on completing the Standard Form 1 and Form 952, GPO's main ordering documents for our federal customers. Thank you for joining us today. Let's begin. In this session, I will present the basics about each form, covering their history and purpose. Then I will discuss some of the GPO's published resources you can reference when completing your forms, as well as whom you may contact for personal service. We will go into detail about each form field. Lastly, we will illustrate how the forms support the GPO workflow to help you complete your understanding of their role in facilitating doing business with GPO. GPO is the federal government's official digital secure resource for procuring, producing, cataloging, indexing, authenticating, disseminating, and preserving the official information products of the U.S. government. The Standard Form 1, commonly referred to as the SF1, serves as the official ordering document for any of GPO's products or services in accordance with Title 44 of U.S. Code, Chapter 11, Section 1102. The form allows you to communicate your requirements to GPO and is a memorandum of understanding that obligates federal funds to produce products or services. Ordering agencies must process in accordance with the internal agency procedures, including all internal funding approvals, prior to placing the order. Form 952 is a critical supporting document to the SF1. In an evolving world of technology, your document may have been born digital, meaning it was conceived, designed, and drafted entirely on a computer. In this world of intangible documents, the 952 defines and communicates the parameters of your digital files. GPO's courteous and professional staff are here to help. Service is important to us, and we have a number of different resources available to help you. If you are a new customer or have a project in development that you need help getting off the ground, GPO staff of National Account Managers are your first stop. The NAMs provide consultative services regarding the full array of products and services available to you through GPO. They can assist you with your specific project. They are also available to provide training as needed. If you are an established customer and happily working with GPO's main office in Washington, D.C., the second link will put you in touch with your specific agency procurement services team who handles all the procurement work for your agency. Perhaps you are an established customer in locations outside of D.C., in which case the last link guides you to our regional office map with contacts for the helpful staff in any of our 15 locations nationwide. Let's begin our discussion of the Standard Form 1, Printing and Binding Requisition. You may also hear the SF1 referred to as a requisition or simply REC. These terms are interchangeable and all refer to the mother of all forms at GPO. The SF1 can be used to capture the requirements of one single item, for example, an envelope or letterhead, or multiple similar items, for example, stationery consisting of a letterhead with matching envelope, or perhaps a direct mail campaign comprised of a book or pamphlet plus an outer envelope, letter, and return envelope, or any number of GPO's other products and services. The SF1 can also be used to commit funds for a series of orders under what we call an open jacket. An open jacket is an order that remains open and billable for a set period of time, typically one fiscal year. The SF1 captures all of the relevant billing information for the order, including the credit card number, IPAC, and GPO deposit account number. You will submit an SF1 to GPO when you need to initiate a product or service. GPO cannot begin work on any product or service without an SF1. However, we encourage you to contact us at any time during the earliest planning stages of our project so that we can provide our expertise on how to best meet your agency's needs. If your product is something like a monthly, bi-monthly, or semi-annual publication run under our contractual vehicles such as term contracts, then an SF1 must be submitted either at the beginning of the fiscal year or the contract year, depending on the terms of that specific contract. The signature applied to the SF1 must be that of an authorizing official. Check with your own organization to identify that person. To establish, change, or remove an authorizing official with GPO, a memorandum to the GPO headquarters or regional office manager with the prospective official's signature for a reference is required. No matter who will be signing the order, it must be signed, either electronically or a traditional wet signature. Unsigned orders cannot be acted upon. GPO will contact the sender in this instance. We will now move on to adding your order information to the SF1. First up, the requisition number. The rec number is a unique identifier that is assigned to the order by you, the customer, for tracking and billing purposes. The first numeral must be the fiscal year identifier, 6 for FY16, 7 for FY17, and so forth. The fiscal year identifier allows for quick reference and identification of what fiscal year the order was placed in. The next sequence of numerals must be 5 digits and may be any 5-digit combination of your choosing. It is common for customers to start with 00001 on their first order within a fiscal year and then to count up sequentially. GPO will accept any 5-digit sequence from you so long as it is unique during the fiscal year. The next required field is classification. Check the appropriate box based on your agency's classification policies. Unfortunately, we can't advise you here. If your order is classified as secret, top secret, or any other classification, GPO will handle your order appropriately. The sensitive but unclassified SBU designation is sometimes used for content that is not officially classified under rule or law, but contains sensitive information that should be protected. Some examples of SBU orders GPO has recently procured are reproductions of federal building blueprints, litigation copying and scanning work, and production of Inspector General reports. Finally, does your work include personally identifiable information or PII? This is usually content that identifies a citizen, such as a social security number, birth date, pay benefits data, etc. Different agencies have different levels or definitions of what constitutes PII, so be sure to consult with your agency's privacy officer when making this determination. If you check yes in any of these checkboxes, GPO takes appropriate steps to ensure protection of your information. GPO personnel will work with your agency to ensure that requested security policies and procedures such as FSMA, HSPD 12, the Privacy Act, HIPAA, etc. are incorporated into potential contracts and followed appropriately. The next fields on the SF1 indicate whether your product is suitable for distribution to the Federal Depository Library Program, FDLP. Whereas one part of the GPO mission is to produce or procure the official information products of the government, the other part of our mission is the permanent public access of these products. As part of its publishing program, the GPO, through the FDLP, distributes certain classes of government documents free of cost to designated libraries across the United States and its territories. These libraries are known as Federal Depository Libraries. These libraries must offer free public access to their federal collections, even if the depository library is part of a private academic institution. In addition, information specialists are available at these libraries to assist the American public to locate federal information. By checking strictly for administrative or operational purposes, you are indicating that your item has no public relevancy. Such items may include envelopes, letterhead, business cards, or copies of internal use presentations. If you check copyright restriction, you are indicating to GPO that some or all of your content in your product is under a private copyright and not subject to reproduction without permission. Keep in mind that any content authored by the U.S. government or its federal employees in the course of their duties cannot be copyrighted. Finally, the box for not published with federal funds indicates that your order is being produced in whole or in part with non-appropriated funds and is not subject to dissemination. Whatever you indicate, GPO's content acquisition staff will make a final distribution determination and proceed with it. This is always done at no cost to your agency. In the next fields, from and bureau office, you are identifying the specific department, bureau, and office placing the order. Per our example, the ordering agency would be Department of Commerce, Bureau of the Census at the National Distribution Center. Please be as specific as possible with your submissions. The next fields begin the process of describing the specific item that you are ordering. In the publication title field, we need a full, specific title for the product or service being ordered. On the slide, you can see some good examples. Generic information in this field, such as business cards, booklet, design work, or scanning, make finding your order amongst all GPO contracts more difficult. In the quality level field, you are indicating your desired quality tolerances on the finished product. Within GPO's product quality levels, there are 5, with quality level 1 being the highest level, thereby having the tightest tolerances, whereas quality level 5 is the lowest level, thereby having the loosest tolerances from established quality standards. Most work placed with GPO is at quality level 3, which strikes a good balance between desired output and overall cost. As one would imagine, as the quality tolerances tighten, the cost to achieve those standards rises. The third field on this line is date prepared, which simply asks you to place the date of completion of this SF1. The next line of the SF1 asks for the quantity being ordered. Please indicate a clear number of finished individual production units. Avoid ambiguous units like boxes, cartons, or skids. Next, check the appropriate checkbox fields under Finished Product to describe what is being ordered. The Rush checkbox is used when asking for priority processing and fulfillment of your order. Such a request would typically indicate that your order is of urgent need and on a quick turnaround, typically 10 business days or less from order placement to product delivery. When requesting this service, please check the box, and GPO surcharge, our fee for the service we provide to you, will be increased from the standard rate of 8% of the contractor's invoiced amount plus 7.5% up to the rush rate of 16% plus $15. This training session does not go into depth about the surcharge or the extent of the services we render for the surcharge. If you have additional questions regarding the surcharge, please reach out to your GPO National Account Manager, Regional Office, or Service Team in Washington, D.C. The next field is Previous Jacket Rec Number. If the product has been printed by or through GPO before, insert the last jacket and/or requisition number here. The form number field is used when printing forms. For example, if you were to print copies of this Standard Form 1, you would write in Standard Form 1 in this area. If your order is for printing a book and you have already secured an International Standard Book Number, ISBN, please place that number in the ISBN field. If you are printing a book and have not secured an ISBN, GPO does provide these assignments as a service through our Publication and Information Sales branch. Lastly, enter the complete URL for equivalent online editions if you have one. Disseminating this publication online to the libraries in the Federal Depository Library Program may save printing costs to GPO if an equivalent online edition can be identified. One of the ways in which GPO helps agency customers leverage economies of scale is with the process called a rider. When one agency places an order for a title that other agencies may also wish to buy, for example, the Code of Federal Regulations or the budget of the United States government, GPO issues a notice known as a circular letter that other agencies may write that order. By writing the order, agencies placing the rider requisition are paying only the lowest per copy rate that the parent order is paying, while the parent ordering agency is paying all the setup charges. If placing a rider requisition, indicate the department, requisition number, and jacket number of the item that is being ordered in this field. Similar to riders is the option for a customer to strap orders together. Strapping orders is the GPO terminology for bundling 2 or more requisitions and treating them as a single procurement action. Strapping should only be done with requisitions for the same or similar items. For example, one might strap multiple requisitions for a series of pamphlets or brochures, or perhaps strap a requisition for a kit folder with the requisitions for the inserts that go into the folder. The benefits of strapping orders together is to leverage the economy of scale from the combined volume of the work, as well as ensuring that all the items are procured and produced under the same contract by the same vendor. GPO may suggest a strapped order if you submit multiple requisitions that are similar. If you wish to indicate strapped orders, the requisition numbers for each SF1 should be indicated in the Strap with Requisition Number field. The final checkboxes in the top section of the SF1 are used to indicate if your order is for one of GPO's in-house services. While GPO procures much of the government's information products from the private sector, we do offer a suite of services from graphic design to warehousing and distribution to secure credentials. Check the appropriate box to order one of these services. We now begin our look at how to complete the billing section of the SF1. The billing address code, also known as the BAC, is a required field. A BAC is a 6-digit code that is assigned to your agency by GPO for the purpose of identifying who we are to bill the order to and how we are billing for it. If you are unaware of what your BAC is, your national account manager or local GPO office can assist you. Many agency locations already have a BAC assigned in GPO systems. Others may require establishing a new BAC. Some agencies also have multiple BACs for one location, depending on the billing methodology. Associated with your BAC is the Agency Location Code, or ALC. The ALC is an 8-digit code that is assigned to your agency by the U.S. Treasury and further identifies your location for GPO. The ALC is required for IPAC payments, but not for orders that are being financed by credit card or GPO deposit accounts. Next is the appropriation chargeable. If required by the ordering agency, enter the appropriation symbol number, expenditure account, allotment, object classification, bureau control number, etc., or state whether publication is required by specific provision of law, authorized by OMB, etc. If funding your order with a credit card, please check the first box. You must still indicate a billing address code on the previous line of the form to identify your agency location, but note that the presence of a credit card for payment on the form will override any other type of payment style that the BAC used may indicate. Please note that the credit card is only a proper form of payment when the order is estimated to be under $25,000, as the Treasury has capped government credit card transactions at that amount. If you feel comfortable, you may complete the credit card account number and expiration date in the provided fields. GPO keeps all credit card data private and secure while in our offices and IT systems. However, we suggest that no credit card account numbers be provided to us on the form when the SF1 will be transmitted by GPO that is unencrypted. If you do not provide the credit card number and expiration date, GPO personnel will call the cardholder at the phone number indicated on the form in the last field in this section. The order will not be processed until the obligating funds are identified. As of FY15, any IPAC transaction requires a component TAS-BETSI. These codes and their application are determined by the Treasury, and the intent has been to allow for increased accountability to the expenditure of funds. You are encouraged to go to the link below to read the full background about this billing requirement. The TAS is an identification code assigned by Treasury, in collaboration with OMB and the owner agency, to an individual appropriation, receipt, or other fund account. The BETSI is a Treasury identification code that indicates the type of transaction. Your first stop for assistance with the TAS-BETSI is your agency finance department. The line of accounting field is another set of codes that are required by some agencies. GPO does not mandate the use of an LOA. It is the ordering agency's finance department that requires the code on GPO billings in order to reconcile charges against their internal ledger. When an LOA is provided on an SF1, GPO records it in our systems, and the LOA appears on the invoice GPO sends your agency. At the provided link, we maintain a list of BACs that require LOAs for any IPAC transactions. If your order uses one of these BACs, but you're funding the order with credit card, then an LOA is not required. Next, we move on to the pre-press and proofs section to explain the technical aspects of the order. In the Furnished Media section of the SF1, use the checkboxes to describe the methodology that you're using to transmit your artwork to GPO, whether that is by electronic means like FTP or email, or a physical means for either digital files on disk or hard copy artwork like drawings, photographs, or negatives. Check the appropriate boxes and then indicate the quantity of materials as well as the date on which those materials will be provided. The date is especially important if the artwork will lag behind transmission of the SF1 for any reason. In the proof section, you will be indicating the amount and type of each proof that you're looking to order. Simply check the appropriate box and indicate how many of each type you desire. Your GPO account manager or local GPO office can give you in-depth training about the different types of proof and their applications. The most popular proof options are 1. An emailed PDF proof. This type of proof would be used to check content and layout only, not for color match. If you desire this type of proof, check the electronic soft proof box. 2. Hard copy proofs for content and color match. This proof combination is usually used for single or full color utility, non-color critical print work, and is indicated by checking the content and inkjet boxes and listing the amount of proof sets desired. 3. Hard copy proofs for content and color critical match. This proof combination is usually used for high-end color critical print work and is indicated by checking the content and high resolution boxes and listing the amount of proof sets desired. See page 2 of SF1 Printing and Binding Requisition Instructions online for more detailed explanation of proofs and prior to production samples. Whichever proof combination you desire, please indicate the number of business days that you wish to hold the proofs for review. Typically, this is 1 or 2 business days, but more can be chosen based on your needs. If you desire to perform a press sheet inspection, a physical on-site inspection of the print work as it is being produced on press, please indicate so in the provided field, including how much notice you need in order to travel to the print shop. Either your own agency personnel or GPO personnel can attend the inspection to approve content and color on press. Finally, in the Deliver Proofs To field, please provide an email address if requesting electronic soft proofs or a valid street address. If you prefer that GPO review the proofs prior to sending them to the agency, enter Through GPO in this box. In the Paper and Ink section, you will be defining the paper stocks and printing inks used in production of your order. There are 2 paper fields, Cover and Text. Utilize these based on whether your end product will be printed on cover weight, text weight, or both types of stocks. Whenever possible, the field should be completed using the Joint Committee on Printing's JCP paper codes. These codes are the official standards for government printing that define the technical characteristics of various papers. The JCP codes are published on the GPO website for your reference. GPO is brand generic. As long as a paper meets a JCP code, GPO will not mandate a certain manufacturer or brand of paper. If you cannot determine a JCP code to match a brand of stock that you desire, you may list a brand name in the provided fields, but know that GPO will specify a JCP code that is equal to your provided brand name stock. Your GPO National Account Manager or local GPO office can give you in-depth training on paper types, weights, and applications if necessary. In the ink section, you will specify the color or colors used on the covers or text pages of your publication. Be advised that a common description of full color would be most appropriately documented as 4-color process or CMYK. Specifying individual colors for a single or multi-color product, please use the Pantone Matching System PMS color numbers to indicate which color other than black that you will be requiring. Generalizations such as red, blue, or green cause confusion as there are dozens of various tints of those colors within the PMS color model. Finally, indicate a cover or text coding type in the provided fields. Note that this field is not to indicate a coating for the paper stock, but rather the top coat that you desire over the printing ink. Examples of these coatings would be varnish, aqueous, UV, or laminate. These come in finishes ranging from dull to satin to gloss. In the press and bindery section, we will describe some of the physical characteristics of the printed page. The digital print acceptable checkboxes allow you to specify whether your product can be printed using digital printing methodologies. Rest assured that your product will always be produced using the most economical method, but if there is a technical reason why digital printing is not desirable, please check No. The print checkboxes allow you to indicate how the images appear on the page in position. It can be one side only, head to head, or head to foot. Check the necessary box. You may contact GPO for assistance. To indicate which covers have printing and which are blank, check the appropriate boxes, keeping in mind that the inside front cover is cover 2, while the inside back cover is cover 3. If your product requires the finishing options of a perforation, score, or embossing, use the appropriate checkbox and indicate the position in the field provided. If the position field is not enough space, please utilize the additional information area on the first or second page of the SF1. If your product requires individual numbering, use the provided fields to provide the start and end numbers of the sequence you wish to use, as well as the color of the numbering. Be as specific as possible. If your sequence requires, for example, 5 digits, then make sure your first number is indicated as 00001 and not simply 1, if the preceding zeros are important. The line of the SF1 is used to describe the size of your item and how many pages and covers your item has. The size flat field is typically used to designate the final size of a flat form, loose leaf pages, form sets, or pads. In the example of a folded form like a trifold brochure, the flat size would be 11 by 8.5 inches. The Fold To field gives you the opportunity to document the final size of a folded item, such as the example of our trifold brochure, which would be 3 2/3 by 8.5 inches. For a folded item, the SF1 would always have the size flat and Fold To fields completed. The size trimmed field would be used to document the finished size of a book, booklet, or bound pamphlet. Keep in mind that the printing industry works on a number of standard sizes that, when followed, can save you money. The popular standard sizes for bound publications are 5.5 by 8.5 inches, 6 by 9 inches, 8 by 10.5 inches, and 8.5 by 11 inches. GPO would not restrict your creativity when selecting a trim size, but be aware that your costs for such custom sizes are higher compared to standard sizes. Document the number of text pages in the provided field. Enter the number of text pages, including blank pages, but not including separate cover pages. One leaf of paper is 2 pages. This number should always be an even number. Page counts for saddle-stitched products must be divisible by 4. If your publication has cover pages, the options are self-cover or separate covers. Self-cover publications use the same paper stock for the cover as well as the text pages. Separate covers utilize different paper for the cover compared to the text pages. Use the appropriate checkbox to indicate your utilized cover type. This line of the SF1 will capture the binding requirements of your order. If you desire your document to be stitched, your choices are a side stitch, saddle stitch, or upper left corner stitch. Most multi-page pamphlets under 100 pages are bound with a saddle stitch. Paste-on fold binding may be a more cost-effective option in lieu of stitching for forms or pamphlets printed on uncoated paper in quantities greater than 25,000. For smaller quantities, the cost of setup will increase the cost per piece significantly. If the agency would like GPO to make this determination, mark both saddle stitch and paste-on fold fields with opt for optional. If your end product will be loose leaf sheets, such as binder material, Select this option and the sheets will be trimmed but not bound together in any way. The next three checkboxes are the various types of mechanical binding: tape, plastic comb, or coil binding. Tape binding will be the least expensive option of mechanical binding, though also the least durable. Plastic comb and either plastic or metal spiral binding are roughly equal in cost. However, spiral binding is somewhat more durable. These mechanical binding options are typically used for handouts, manuals, or guidebooks, as they allow books to open flat for easy reference. The final binding choices are perfect binding or case binding. Perfect binding refers to soft bound or paperback, while case bound titles refer to hardcover books. Either type of binding can have the additional option of sewing the text pages to strengthen the binding. Check the sew box if desired. If choosing case bound, please also specify the type of casing material with color and texture described. Use the additional information fields on page 1 and 2 as needed. The final fields of this section document the final binding and assembly options available for print work. The padding fields would be utilized when your order is for pad sets, for example notepads or form sets. The first padding field covers what side of the sheets should be padded: top, bottom, left, or right side. Next, document how many sheets or sets of forms will be in each pad. Typical pad thicknesses are 25, 50, or 100 sheets or sets, but there is no limit to your response here. Finally, check if your pads require chipboard backing sheets. The carbon interleave checkbox is not a common choice in the modern age, but if your order requires a carbon paper inserted between sheets or form sets, then check this box. If your order requires punching or drilling, the next form fields will capture those requirements. Indicate the number of holes needed, the diameter of the holes, the amount of inches from center to center of multiple holes, and the position of the holes. The most commonly drilled product is loose leaf material for binder books. The typical specifications for drilling of those items would be 3 holes, 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and 4 1/4 inches center to center along the left-hand side. The stamped title fields are provided for case-bound books covered with any type of covering material. Typically, the title would be stamped on the cover and spine in either a metallic foil or single ink color. Use these fields to indicate those requirements. The collation field is provided for a customer to explain how a group of form sets, kit folder inserts, or other loose form material should be gathered for delivery. The tab dividers section is provided for a customer to describe how they would like the tab dividers constructed for their product, including the height of the tab extension, the width of the tab, and the position of the tabs. The most commonly ordered product for tab dividers is loose leaf binder books. The typical specifications for such a product is 3/8 inch tab height, 1/5 cut, meaning the tabs are cut in widths equal to 1/5 of the page dimension, and the position along the right-hand side of the page. Now we move to the packing and delivery requirements. In the requested delivery date field, please indicate your desired delivery date for the product. A rule of thumb for choosing a delivery date is, when possible, provide 3 to 5 weeks from the date of sending your order to GPO. This date range provides the best balance between price and performance for your work. That said, GPO can meet any delivery date that is physically possible to produce your product in. Same day and short run turnarounds are possible, though we always advise on how to save money when possible. In the craft wrap, shrink wrap, or band fields, you will indicate whether you need one of the 3 internal wrapping methods and how many items per wrap you desire. Keep in mind the total thickness of your wrapped item. Excessive thickness can be impractical. The suitable checkbox indicates to GPO that you have no specific packing or wrapping requirements and that the item may be packed or wrapped per industry standards. We provide you the other packing field to explain any specific type of custom or specialized packing that you may require. The pack in cartons box is provided to indicate that your product must be packaged in external shipping cartons. In the delivery to field, please provide the final delivery address for the order. A street address is required. Indicate if inside delivery to a room or mail stop is required, as this can often be an extra delivery expense. If there is not enough available space on the form, or if multiple delivery destinations are required, you may check the appropriate box and provide a distribution list as needed. In the Return Furnished Materials field, please provide a street address for return of any material provided to GPO to be returned after completion of the order. If you desire a digital deliverable, either corrected native files or high-quality PDF, please check the box and provide either a street address for large files on disk or an email address for small files. Be advised that these digital deliverables are a chargeable service from the print vendor. In the blank space provided under Additional Information, you can describe any relevant information that you want us to know regarding your order. The contact fields provided are to document who GPO should contact for technical questions about the order. This may or may not be the person completing the form, and may or may not be the person who is signing the form to authorize it. Be advised that the contact person provided will receive all relevant communications about the order, status updates, price information, copies of the contract documents, and other information. Please be sure to add a phone number and an email address. The price approval checkbox and field are provided if you wish to approve a price on an order or have a price cap that cannot be exceeded. If an amount is indicated and the price result of the contract is under the amount listed, we proceed with the order. If the quotes or bids are over this amount, we stop progress on the order and contact the individual listed. Understand that GPO cannot proceed with the price over the approved amount, even if the authorizing contact is unavailable for a length of time that will jeopardize the delivery date requested. The GPO estimate field is where we communicate back to you what the expected order will cost. This amount could change if the Includes Freight box is checked as no, meaning the order will have freight billed additionally and is not included, or if a modification is made to the order while it is being worked on at a contractor's plant. After a contract is awarded to a vendor, a copy of the SF1 marked up with the estimated cost as well as any changes to the order will be sent to the contact provided. At this time, the order details are complete and it's time to sign the SF1. Completing the SF1 with the signature is your last step and gives GPO the authority to proceed. Recall that we previously defined who the authorizing official can be, and only an authorizing official can sign the SF1. GPO now accepts either ink signatures, known as wet signatures, or electronic signatures. GPO will accept your electronic and ink signature electronically through fax or scan and email of a signed document. These methods remain the most popular, though we certainly accept hard copy forms supplied with the submission of your files on disk or other hard copy. What happens next? We will discuss that in the workflow segment of this training session. Page 2 of the SF1 provides space for you to add supplemental instructions. You may enter any additional information here that needs to be communicated to GPO. Also be sure to enter the requested information in the 4 fields at the top of page 2. Now that we have covered the details of the SF1 as an ordering document, we can talk about the main SF1 supplement, the Form 952 Digital Publishing Information Sheet. Today's documents may be born digital. That is to say, their lives from concept to composition have existed solely on a computer. They have never been tangible. The GPO Form 952 is designed to explain the nature of these furnished electronic files to inform us for the preparation of job specifications and the contractor of what they will receive. This is designed to ensure the accuracy of reproduction on your behalf. The 952 is not mandatory. We will not refuse to process an order without one. However, the completion of the 952 is strictly for your benefit. A complete and accurate 952 will allow GPO to write more detailed specifications, thereby getting you the best price on your contract with reduced post-award modifications. Typically, a graphic designer or someone intimate with the creation of the digital files will complete the 952, though the order originator may be the same person responsible for the graphical content. The form fields will help describe the platform, software packages, and versions that were used to create your document. The sum of these answers also describes to GPO and the contractor producing the order the relative completeness of the job submission. Whenever a 952 is submitted, it should also include visuals. By this we mean either a color composite laser print, commonly called lasers, and or color-separated laser prints that detail the specific color breaks, commonly called separations. It is also good practice to include a printout of the file directory for the furnished media, so the actual contents of the disk may be compared to the printout to verify accuracy. In short, the 952 is designed to eliminate any assumptions about the files submitted to us. By knowing what we have, GPO can accurately prepare job specifications, and the contractor can receive the order knowing what they are bidding on. GPO also uses that documentation to support our decision-making in case of a contract dispute over the contents of the file submission, or in case of claims made due to job alterations. In the customer contact fields, please complete the information regarding who is submitting the order. Typically, this will be the person who also completed the SF1 and is documented as the additional information contact on that form. In the digital publishing technical contact lines, enter the contact information for the person who can best answer questions about how the digital files are composed and structured. Normally, this person is a graphic designer, but may also be the same person who is completing the form and can be documented as same as submitter. In the Computer Operating System and Media section of the form, you will indicate the computing platform the files were created on. Next, we need you to indicate what type of media and quantity thereof are being submitted. This helps GPO determine if all submitted disks are present during their handling of the order. GPO recommends that you utilize secure government or contractor-furnished FTP solutions when submitting your files. However, you may also use a number of popular cloud services such as Dropbox, Google Docs, or OneDrive. In the software fields, you would be capturing the various applications and versions used for page layout, illustrations, photographs, and other supporting files such as mail list and other data source files. Similar to our discussion of the different versions of operating systems, the specific versions of an application file is also important, as different versions have different capabilities. Submitting your files as press-ready Adobe PDF is perfectly acceptable. GPO recommends you also provide the native application files because making requested alterations can be more difficult and costly in PDF files. Native files are easier to edit. Check the appropriate boxes to indicate whether native files and/or PDF are being provided. Keep in mind the native formats listed under Beware. These formats support features and color models that are not well suited for the printing process. While contractors have become more and more capable with dealing with these file formats, they are still a risk and should be avoided whenever possible. Converting these riskier file formats to PDF may solve some of their print suitability problems, but it does not solve them all, so please avoid them if at all possible. The importance of furnishing fonts cannot be overstated. In the printing environment, all elements of your electronic document are necessary to ensure proper output. Just as you would furnish your layout file, your supporting images and text, you would also supply your fonts. Certainly, any boutique or rare typefaces would come to mind as a font to supply. What about more common typefaces? You might think to yourself, everyone has Arial typeface, so I don't need to bother. This is only partially correct, as indeed most computers have a core set of common fonts. However, these core fonts may be of a different version or manufacturer. These slightly different versions of the same face can cause some of the same errors seen when no fonts are supplied. Missing or substitute font issues can manifest themselves in the form of reflow, missing or altered characters, or completely missing information. Furnishing your fonts can mitigate the problem before it begins. Next on the 952 is a reminder to include a file directory printout so that our staff and contractor personnel can compare the files in hand with your intended roster of submission. Designing your files in the proper color model is important for a successful project. Primarily, the print production world works in two color models. CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, is the most popular model and is often called four-color process or full color. The Pantone matching system, PMS, is the other popular model and is sometimes called spot color, as hundreds of specific inks and specific color shades make up the system. You can visualize Pantone colors like a box of crayons or paint swatches at your hardware store. The last color model is RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue. And it is the primary model that graphics are displayed on television, films, and other electronic devices. When RGB is converted into an appropriate color mode, the look of your graphics may change. As a result, RGB is not ideal for jobs that would be printed on a printing press. To prevent this color shift due to gamma change, always design your work in the model of the output device. When RGB is checked on the form, we know that there could be color shift problems unless your desired output is a certain subset of print products that RGB color is acceptable for. The next section regarding your visuals is useful in understanding that the visuals are accurate. If changes have been made since the visuals were output, or if they are printed at less than 100%, there may be concerns. Please indicate the quantity of each type of visual in the appropriate boxes. Also indicate in the appropriate boxes if you are providing a previously printed sample for reference, a folding dummy, which is a sample folded in the style you wish your final product to be in, and whether or not you have properly labeled the visuals as covers or text pages. If your files require bleeds, the term for excess color outside the boundaries of the page that will be trimmed off, check Yes. Indicate whether you have included bleeds in your design. Some applications, such as any of the Microsoft Office programs, do not have the capability to create bleeds. Linking graphics is the proper way to place them in a page layout. The last checkbox asks if your graphics are linked or embedded. If you did any cut and paste application of graphics into your layout, they are considered embedded and not linked. Embedded graphics may cause problems when your files are output, hence the importance of this checkbox. Last but not least is a Notes section. Within this section, any additional information or special instructions can be provided as necessary. Upon completion of the Notes section, you have successfully completed filling out your 952. We have covered some very important information with the SF1 and the 952. You are now ready to do business with GPO. If you need any additional assistance, please contact GPO and we will be happy to provide expert consultation and training. Thank you for your time and your attention. They and you are valuable to us at GPO.